Welcome to the Wonder With Me podcast, where I, Dr. Tonia Winchester, invite you to get curious with me about all things mind-body healing, especially how we can unlock the incredible healing power of our unconscious minds, so that we can all get out of stress mode and go back into healing mode. We'll talk about how you can easily create healthy, sustainable self-care habits so that you can calm your mind, sleep deeply, wake rested, and enjoy happy, energized days. Ultimately, so that you can make a bigger difference in your well-being and that of your family and the world around you. These casual chats are for educational purposes only and don't constitute a therapeutic relationship. With all that said, let's get this episode underway. Come wonder with me. Hey, welcome to the very first episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. I am your hostess, coach and/or Dr. Tonia Winchester, and this is Season 1, Episode 1, the crucial question to ask when you are frustrated by your body. Now, before we get into the episode, this is something I recorded a while back, just on the tail end of a major infection, which I'll be talking about during this podcast. So, don't mind the mucus. It is prevalent in this recording. We're coming as we are here in our fullness. Let's get into it.
Hello, thank you for listening to this audio. This is Coach Tonia Winchester here, and I am kind of nervous to record this and to write it down because part of me doesn't really want you to know that I'm susceptible to illness, and part of me wants to keep from you that I'm a human being with a physical body that sometimes gets sick. And as you can hear in my voice, if you know me, then you know I sound a little bit congested. That's because I'm on the tail end of a 15-day journey with coronavirus. The day after I released my book, thank you again for buying it, I started developing symptoms of COVID. Some achiness, some phlegminess in my throat. I had, up until that point, managed to get through the entire pandemic physically unscathed. And it was 2 days after that I tested positive, and I have not been that sick in a long time. This was not just a cold for me. I've heard of lots of cases of it being this sort of no big deal 2-day thing. This knocked me on my butt. I could barely think. All I wanted to do, and frankly, all I could do, was rest. Sometimes sleeping was impossible because I couldn't breathe through my nose. It hurt to open my eyes, and watching TV was sometimes too much. And the mucus, oh my goodness, the goop. If you could sell snot for a profit, I would be so rich right now. While aching to break through my 101-degree fever, there were internal voices that were being very unkind to myself. You call yourself healthy? Would a healthy person get this knocked down from COVID? What are people going to think of you? You're supposed to be a good example of health and wellness. And the truth is, I get sick. Just like everyone. The morning after I barely slept because of a lower back spasm, making it very painful to cough, I cried. And I cried hard. I was definitely the guest of honor at my own pity party. Thankfully, that same day, I got to have a session with my coach, who is also my NLP teacher and mentor. She helped me just as I help my clients to reframe my attachment to my problems. As I teach my clients to do, she helped me realize that all of the miserable physical symptoms I was experiencing as a result of my immune system activating against this virus, it all had a purpose, an intended benefit. She asked me, as I ask my clients, what were you meant to learn from this? The first thing that spontaneously arose from my unconscious mind was, I need rest. I need rest. I'd spent the last 6 months waking up and doing everything I had to do to get my book out into the world. Writing it, learning about and building the required technology, creating infrastructure for customer service, all the formatting and editing, all while building my coaching practice, running the clinic, and caring for people in my naturopathic practice. Essentially, if for months I'd been unconsciously telling myself that I need a break, I need to rest, and then this opportunistic virus comes along, it was the perfect storm to be forced to rest. And while it's impossible to know for sure, I have a feeling that if I consciously made a choice to schedule and take more rest and breaks, maybe this wouldn't have hit me so hard. I mean, who's to say? I can say that if it was rest that I needed, then this was a very unenjoyable way to experience it. She also helped me see another learning about staying in alignment to what I want, a bigger vision I see for myself and my business. And I'll write more about that in the future. She facilitated for me, as I do for my clients, a couple of neurological reprogramming techniques, on the other side of which, even though I still had physical symptoms, I wasn't upset about being sick anymore. And I wasn't mad at my body anymore, and that was a huge relief. Instead, I became compassionate and curious. Everything became so much more tolerable, remembering that everything my wise body does has a purpose, a higher intent. And when things go wrong in our physical bodies or minds, it can be really easy to be upset and disappointed and mad, confused and frustrated. How dare my body do this to me? What's wrong with me? Why am I not getting better faster? You and I both know that these types of emotional responses and thought patterns are unproductive. As you read in chapter 7 of the book, there's a more helpful question than asking why. The more helpful question is, for what purpose? When you ask this question instead of reasons, which is what you get when you ask the question why, you get solutions. You get the way out. The answer to the question, for what purpose, in my case, was rest. It was likely the amount of mucus and neuroinflammation that my immune system had generated had blocked me from thinking to ask myself for what purpose during the course of this virus. I'm so glad that I had that touch point with my coach and that she helped me see what's the bigger picture here. Sometimes we have blinders on when it comes to our own needs and desires. It can be really helpful to have an outside eye, heart, and mind to guide you back home to yourself and your own truth. Sometimes we need someone other than us to help us reconnect to the strength and resourcefulness and courage that's required to listen to that truth. And there's one final piece that really helped me move forward. It's this idea called an upper limit problem that Gay Hendricks wrote about in his book, The Big Leap. The theory is that we all have a specific level of good that we can tolerate experiencing in the world. A threshold that, like most of our neural patterns, is set early in childhood. If something happens that puts us above that good threshold, making book sales, for example, then something negative has to happen to bring us back down into our comfort zone. When I first read this book, I loved the idea and it made so much sense to me. I was able to trace back in my biography and see the places where upper limit problems had created disasters after really awesome things had happened in my life. It seemed to explain a lot of things. I had a feeling that my extreme COVID experience was an upper limit problem. But what I decided recently is that believing that something bad has to happen after something good happens is a limiting belief that I don't want to believe anymore. Me believing that is me being on the at-effect side of the equation, and I want to choose to be on the at-cause side of the equation as much as possible. So, as I do with my clients, my coach cleared the limiting decision, and we implanted the affirming and positive belief that I can grow, evolving easily and effortlessly in a steady, safe, and progressive way. I suppose my nervousness didn't stop me from sharing this, because what felt more important to me is hopefully you experiencing less suffering by getting access to the learnings that I had to come by the hard way. And if you're stuck in a pattern that's uncomfortable and you're not sure where to go from here, then I'm happy to help. I can help you reframe your attachment to your issue, help you gain learnings, help you clear and release old patterns, and help you connect to positive ways of thinking and seeing the world. Every month, I enroll 6 to 8 clients, and if you're ready for the kind of support that I've described here, then please reach out and book a call with me or my team. We'll have an honest, heart-to-heart conversation to determine if where you're at and what you're wanting is a match for how I love to help. You can reach out by going to coach.toniawinchester.com/hello. To your reframing, and all the best. This is Tonia Winchester. Thank you again for listening.
Hey, thanks for wondering with me today. If you've got something good out of this, then please forward this episode along to the people who you know could benefit. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're really keen, you leaving us a rating and review helps us to help more people, so thank you in advance for that. If you're wanting more insights about how you can leverage the power of your unconscious mind to go back into healing mode, head on over to toniawinchester.com, where you'll find my book, Breakthrough the Insomnia Cycle, and other helpful ideas. Thanks again, and we'll connect on the next episode of the Wonder With Me podcast. In the meantime, may you choose to make all of your dreams come true.